Tell me what you see when you look at me. Do you see another brother lost in these streets looking for his soul?
Trying to find my soul.
Or do you see another brother searching for lost souls in these streets? A street soldier.
Street soldier.
Here to help you get that chip off your shoulder, warm your colder days and sober your drunken ways, and find a way to help you get over these hurdles placed in our path. And this is not meant to amuse you. This is for all those who have questions but are afraid to ask.
I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid. No. When times get hard, you lose your way. Open your mind and hear what I say.
This is a message for the hard and the soft. To those who tune in weekly and to those who keep an eye out for 8 p.m. on Sundays and turn their radios off. The truth hurts. The cloth has been pulled. We're walking around half dead. Use this show as your IV. Alive and free is a new movement. We've achieved self-destruction. A street soldier promotes self-improvement.
Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah. Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah.
Tonight, I used to call this program Getting Out and Staying Out, because I always wanted to encourage and salute those who gave them their number back, as I used to call it, gave them their number back. Unfortunately, recidivism is way too high. People go in, are incarcerated, get out, and despite the best of their intentions, end up going back. So for a number of years, there have been different programs to encourage and to assist, that's the word I'm looking for, those who have been locked out, getting a new life, and making sure they stay out. We ran into one a while ago that has been like a success. It's a success. It works. And the person who does it is here with us again to update us on the program. And they've added something new and special, very unique. I think it's wonderful, great. And we want people to know about it. And we have some participants also in the program here, and we'll have them in a few minutes. But welcome back to the airwaves. Street soldiers, the mighty. Did I say mighty? The wonderful. The what other words can I come up with? The greatest. Miss Tamisha Walker. Hi, Tamisha.
How you doing, Doc?
How you doing? You looking good, girl.
Thank you.
Looking good. Got your hair all tied up. You got your gray on. We know it's on camera, but we know this is film. Got your purple on. Looking good. Yeah. Good. Glasses tight, earrings all right. Good. Good.
I tried.
I know you do.
I had to wear my purple.
Yeah. You more than
royalty.
Tried. Yeah, right. That's right. Right. To tell everybody who you are, what program you run, and we'll get going.
I'm Tamisha Torres Walker, and I'm a co-founder and executive director of the Safe Return Project in Contra Costa County. Safe Return Project has been around almost 10 years now.
Yep.
I've been home 11 years.
Yep.
It was my first opportunity for social change work, was coming into Safe Return, being invested in. And the mission of Safe Return is to end mass incarceration and mass criminalization of Black people and people of color, and to re-enfranchise communities and individuals who have been disenfranchised by the carceral state.
Wow. The first thing you do when you hear it is that's just a wonderful name, Safe Return. Who came up with the name?
It was me, our
founder. I knew it.
My partners, the other co-founders. It was founded by 9 formerly incarcerated folk and some allies. But I own that. We passed the hat around and put name in, and I said Safe Return. Because I felt like community, at that time I was feeling like the community want to be safe from people who they imagine like who a criminal or a felon is.
Or maybe even who they were not safe from before.
Right.
Yeah.
Or who you like the
Right.
idea of being safe. And I kind of flipped it because I felt like, well, we actually need safe communities to return to. Like if we're going to be successful after leaving all of the trauma and disparity in our communities, entering a system that doesn't love us or care for us or really invest in rehabilitation, then we should at least have the opportunity to return homes to safe communities and have opportunity. So I wrote Safe Return Project, and everybody else was like, no, we don't like it. And we was like, let's just try it on. And it's been almost 10 years.
Because it was a hit. It was the right thing. It's beautiful. They must have wanted their name, but your name was best.
Yes, there were more. I don't remember the other ones. It don't matter. The other ones don't matter. The other ones don't matter. It's the only one that matters. Safe Return.
It's such a big deal. I know. We know. When you have an idea, but then to manifest it. I mean, how soon? You said you've been home 11 years. Mm-hmm. You didn't waste a lot of time, letting the grass grow on your feet before you came up with Safe Return. How did it come about? Did you just sit down one day and say, and even with the idea, what led you to say, boom, I'm going to do it?
Safe Return. I think we have to give credit to people. I have to give credit to people who understand that they weren't the right people at the table to have a conversation around what does it mean to return home from incarceration. And so I wish I could take all of the credit for Safe Return, which is now Safe Return Project, which was originally a 10-month research initiative where Cisco, Contra Costa Interfaith Support and Community Organizing, the Office of Neighborhood Safety of Richmond, and Pacific Institute all came together and said, look, we're at these tables talking about people returning home, and there's nobody here at this table who can actually speak to the current experience, and we aren't the right folks. I appreciate people who say we aren't the right people to have this conversation.
Yes.
And so they pulled their resources, raised some funding, and it was just to bring 9 formerly incarcerated currently people who are facing barriers to reentry together to do research and think about what is a reentry strategic plan for Richmond for when folks come home from jails and prisons to reduce recidivism, which was, I think, 73% in Contra Costa at that time, higher than the national average. And I was just like, they said, let's do it. And they pulled their resources together. I applied and got the interview and joined up, mostly because they said they were paying $20 an hour. I had to check that box on the application. Nobody was hiring me. And I needed something to do. I made my mind up. Like, you got to have a made up mind. I knew I wanted to do something, and the opportunity presented itself, and I went for it. And ever since then, I've been allowed to just imagine, what life could be for myself and for my community and other folks impacted. And that's just how we've been rolling ever since.
10 years. That's a huge milestone.
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, I remember our first 10 years, in the club, when we started Omega Boys Coming Out Live and Free. We started, it was like, we had 10 years, like, damn, it was, and I remember for me, and I love talking to somebody that actually breathes something into life. Just making it for us, Tuesday we met with the kids on Tuesday, just getting there, and it was literally 1 week at a time. I mean, what was it like for you? What's the process been like?
I wanted to quit so many times.
I feel you.
most of it was is because I came into this work selfishly, right? So I just wanted to reduce enough barriers so I could get a job.
Got it.
And social change, wanting to be upfront and involved in that came maybe a year later when I started to actually see the power of my own story and what I had the ability to do with people who were willing to invest in what I could be and not who I currently was. And that's visionary. So I felt like I owed it to them to give it a chance. And so for me, it was just like the one thing that made me want to quit the most was just our struggle.
Yeah.
You know, you got people on parole, people on
Yeah.
probation. The people who've been to federal prison don't think that the people who've been to jail suffered much, or the people in, you know, we just you know, played the oppression Olympics a lot, and I didn't like
I
it.
never heard that phrase before.
I
Oppression
didn't
Olympics.
like it because just because I didn't do prison or federal time doesn't mean that I didn't also receive the same disenfranchising marks as my colleagues. And so we had to get beyond that. We also had to get beyond that we all came from the streets. We came from the streets. We came from Richmond. I remember the first time somebody called me a punk, I was like, I quit. I quit because I'm not a punk. I'm not scared. We could throw down right here, right now, in this office, this expensive furniture. And
That old stuff flared
right.
up, right?
The old stuff, right? Because we had a lot that we needed to clean out.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the first meetings, I ended up in a meeting with somebody who my cousin's cousin shot. And when we found out who we were, it was on. Like, he was making calls, I was making calls. And I think our folks who facilitated said, look, we're going to have to do a lot more for these folks than just teach them organizing and research, because they're going to kill each other before we can even get to that point. And that's when I first got introduced to you, Doc, and took the Live and Free prescription
I
classes
remember you in that
Richmond.
training. You were magnificent.
I left that training. I
were
said,
great.
I'm sick.
You were
I said,
great.
I'm sick.
You were,
I can't believe it. That's what it is. I need to get
I'm
help.
still infected.
That's exactly what I said. It really, I think that was the first day of the rest of my life. Like, when I was like, wow, I'm still infected. I need to do some work on myself. And I
Yeah.
just continued to move forward ever since then.
And you get so much props and love for that. You do, because you continue to grow, you continue to improve yourself so that you could help others. So that's why I'm not taking this 10 years thing. I'm really blowing up. That's a big deal. A big deal, because you can't help anybody else unless you really help yourself. And, you know, I hear about you all the time. You know, got a couple of awards, you know, popped up. I got to meet you. Yeah, don't I tell you.
I try. You know, I'm still working on a lot of, like, being appreciated.
Yeah.
And every time I get an honor, I don't share it. And one of my close friends was like, oh, you just got the San Francisco Community Leadership Foundation Award.
Right, that's right.
Why you didn't tell anybody? And the thing that I recognized was that I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want it to be taken away. Because what I've been finding over the years in my own growth and development is that some people don't appreciate your success. And I wanted to enjoy it before other people started to tear it down. And that's the biggest challenge that I've seen doing this work, is that the self-development, you want to be supported, but, you know, a lot of people are out there ready to knock you down. So I kind of just keep the accolades to myself as much as I can. But it's really, you know, I can't pay it forward if I don't show other people what's possible. So I just try to, you know, take it in and continue to be humble.
That's the word I was going to come up with. And you have been. You have remained humble, and your focus is on doing the work, period.
Right,
and,
exactly.
And because, I always say the camera's going to come and go. You know,
Right.
if you can do it when the camera's not there, that's when it's the real deal. And so just thank you. Just thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you. Just 10 years, and more importantly, 11 years for getting out and staying out.
Right.
Like I told the group in there, you got a secret. More people need to learn. A lot of people need to learn what you've learned, because they getting out every day. But the question is, can they stay out? Right?
Yeah, I learned that I was scared to go to jail. A lot of people, you know, people are
Whatever
like,
whatever
look, I was like, whatever way you got to get there, you got to get
that's
there.
right.
For me, I was like facing 10 years. I just was like, Lord, if you get me out of this, you know. And there are many opportunities along the way, but I knew that I was not going back. And, you know, the guard said we'd keep the light on, and I was like, not for me. Sometime the salary would be anywhere from $45,000 to $60,000. And none of our people would apply. We would get folks from Oakland, folks from San Francisco, nobody from Contra Costa, where you got like this long, rich history of an organization like Safe Return. And so I said, you know, if we want it, we're going to have to grow our own. it's not gonna come to us. So started to talk with Richard Boyd, good friend of mine, passed away last year, and we just started to brainstorm on, well, what would it look like? And we said, well, let's let it resemble workforce development. Let's do that, because if we want to create this workforce, because that's what we really called it, we also got to invest in people's personal transformation. So we just started having a lot of conversations, sit downs with people like Andre Akins and other folks, saying, you know, what could this look like, and brainstorming together. And then we brought in a Black woman-led consulting agency, CNT Consulting, to kind of, you know, work with all of us and have conversations with folks in the community who have come through Safe Return. And it took us a while to get the pilot curriculum ready, and then to recruit, because people didn't think it was real. They're like, well, what is it? What kind of fellowship is it? And it's actually 12 months.
12 months.
12 months paid, $1.50 above the local minimum wage in Richmond, which is $15 an hour.
So it's a paid internship.
It's $16.50 an hour. Folks come into the fellowship, and like some of the things we want to know is like, are you in it for the long haul? Do you want to make social change, and do you want to change your life? And so it's actually a nomination process, application process, and then interviews before you even select it, because we wanted to do it right. And Safe Return, coming into Safe Return, the best thing I ever really got was that deep investment in my personal transformation, so I could actually go out into the community and be healthy. So three components: personal transformation, professional development, and then the organizing training, so you could become an organizer. So for the first 6 months of the project, the person is really just paid to get their stuff together.
Yeah.
You're not on the ground. We're not putting you in no meetings. You're not ready. And it's just to dig deep and go really deep with folks. There's some tears. Some people, you know, want to quit. But that's what you got to go through the fire, right? If you want to come out on the other side.
It's so unfair. It's almost like when you don't really prepare them, I mean, just for the work we do, sending young people to college. We found out early on that just because you graduated from high school or got a GED, you weren't necessarily prepared, right? So those early young people, or, you know, even more so, you had been in the streets so long, just giving you an opportunity to go to college didn't mean you were going to, you know, you're going to do it, because, you know, I found out earlier there was stuff at college just like there was back home, right? So they get caught up down there. I got so many stories. But when you get that, and what you don't want to do, and it's real wisdom, like you get this, you don't want to set them up for failure, right? Especially when you know what it takes to actually do that. And a lot of programs just get young people jobs. Just do this. They give them the opportunity, right? And it's well-meaning, and the young people actually have the intention to succeed. And it's kind of like a young person has an opportunity, has the intention, when I get out of jail, I'm never coming back. But they haven't been prepared for what they're going to face when they get out.
Right.
So I got to say, the thought you put into this thing is just absolutely, I mean, you did it the right way.
Thanks.
You did it the right way. No, you did. You did. And that don't mean they going to like it, because I know the young people we prepare for college, putting them through the ringer with these two. Why we got to do all this? We got a 3.5. I don't care what you got. We going to make sure, based on our experience, we know that this works. So,
yeah, we have a life coach. Like, you know, a lot of us don't get that. Like, some people don't have health care. If they do, it's not quality. You know, some people don't have access to that type of stuff. And so we wanted to provide as much support as we can. I tell folks in the fellowship all the time, you will never get another chance. Nobody nowhere is going to just pay you to work on yourself full time.
Pay you to work on yourself. Yeah. What you want? You want something to eat? And get this on camera, Mrs. Stella can make some. Okay, come on in, everybody. We got a couple mics here. We got one there, one there. Just spread around. And what we're gonna do before we go to break, at least get everybody's name And, I think everybody here is formerly incarcerated, right?
Yes.
So you can just say your name and say how long you've been home and, how long you're in, how long you've been home. And let's start there. So, you first. Just go to the mic. Yeah.
Pull the mic up and
Yeah,
talk
pull the
into
mic
it.
up. Yeah, because that's a sensitive mic. Go ahead, brother.
I'm Carlos Fernandez. I've been out since March of 2017.
Okay.
20 years old, and I'm going to Contra Costa College.
All right. Thank you, Carlos. Next.
Hi, I'm Ade Tashagar, and I've been out for 2 years. And happy Easter to everybody.
Happy Easter to you. Who's next?
Hello. My name is Shayla Bonner. I am formerly incarcerated. I've been out since April of 2015.
Good. You're out. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name Lamar Harrison from Richmond. Been out since 2008.
Oh, good for you. Praise the Lord. All right, who's next?
Hi, my name is Michelle Walker, and I've been out for 6 months.
All right. Is that everybody?
So I'm Keith Snodgrass. I'm the training and organizing director at Safe Return Project. And I've been out for over 20 years.
Oh, Lord. All right. How much time we got?
We got
3 minutes? Oh, we do have time.
yeah.
Okay. Let me just say real quick, how did you find out about the project? So why don't you start here and just go around. How did you find out about the fellowship, Safe Return, and the whole bit? Just say that real quick, and then we'll go on and we'll pick it up when we come back. Say your name one more time, and how'd you find out about it?
Michelle Walker, and I found out through Tamisha. She was telling me about this great opportunity to do something different with my life and just try to make a difference in my community.
Okay. Did they all find out from you, Tamisha? Is that how they all found out?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay, because we do that. We just say they found from Tamisha. Okay. How'd you find out?
I found out, this Lamar, I found out through Andres Soto. He's an organizer out of Richmond from a company called CB, and he also has a radio show.
So they stepped to you and how'd you...
I was doing work for the organization, and then he told me about the fellowship.
Okay.
And he nominated me in.
Good, because it's only 2 months old. Somebody had to find somewhere. All right, let's go over here. How'd you find out, Carlos?
I'm Carlos, and I found out through one of my good mentors, Damon King, and I used to go to him when just when I had some issues, and then he finally said, "I got something for you," and then I think I was the last one in, and it, saved my life.
Oh, all right.
Okay, I'll go. I was actually in a workshop in Richmond, and I was in the audience listening to Tamisha talking about AB 109, the work that she did with AB 109. And she kind of has the same feelings that I have about the system, that there is a system out here that's actually a real barrier for us. And I just was like, wow, finally my language. And then I just stayed connected, and I got nominated through her resources at Safe Return, and that's how I got there.
Next.
My name is Shayla again. I actually found out about Safe Return through Rubicon, through my impact coach. I interviewed with Tamisha, and she has been putting me to work ever since, but I'm so happy.
Well, my experience is, when I was trying to get jobs after I, finished my probation, it was difficult to get a job because of my background. Most conversations were like, you're Ethiopian and you had a good family and you had this and you had that. How did you, what happened to you? And that was like really hard to deal with. So it stopped me from moving forward in terms of getting jobs and stuff. So the glitch that I wanted to become was to, expose these barriers that, even after you do your time and you give back to society, there are still barriers out there stopping you from getting your jobs and moving forward. So I wanted to help women like me that didn't necessarily come from the streets or so, but I do experience the disparities.
Yeah,
so that's what I meant.
Well, you got a quote here. Coming out of jail, there was a stigma on my forehead, you said here. My family was ashamed. My family disappeared. I was ashamed. You want to say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, maybe I exaggerated in terms of disappearing. They're there, but your family gets impacted by the choices that you make.
Yes.
And I don't think that we talk about that necessarily in our communities. You have family members that went to jail and come out, but when you're gone, it's a void in people's lives. And you miss birthdays, you miss christenings, you miss weddings, you miss important things that keep you connected to your family. And so I wanted to take responsibility for that and just, be accountable for all the times that I wasn't there. And I just see it differently now. So one of the things is to go against the grain, go against the status quo. You can make it by making healthy choices.
Carlos, you also have a quote here. Carlos says, I want to be an example for young people who are coming out of juvenile hall and group homes. A lot of them are angry at the system, and maybe they can put their energy towards something positive. And you are the youngest member of the group.
Yeah, I'm 20.
Yeah.
With 2 kids.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. I know that's how much you getting paid an hour. You may have to double that. No. But just say more about that.
So I really want to learn. I fell in love with this organizing work. I think it really changed my life. It was better than what I was doing. Probably just November, October. I was really wilding out in the streets. But, since December, I went to my interview with my car being shot up, and it got towed for evidence, all types of stuff, crazy stuff. But I want to learn this organizing work, and I want to take it back to my neighborhood and, raise young leaders just like myself, for they won't have to feel like they got to go back to hustling or doing other crazy street things. I want to start my own organization of, young folks coming out of juvenile hall. But they could take all that anger that they really got and that they all mad at and put it towards something positive that actually could help them and their community, not just getting money and leaving the community, going places where they still don't want you there,
I imagine that all of you have to be a support system for each other, right? Because you're going against the grain. I mean, just statistically, you're going against the grain. You're endeavoring to be community organizers, but the first thing and I really mean this. I think, Tamisha, you certainly get, I think all of you will. I can't tell you how many times that I've had people who got out and, I'm thinking of personal families, but, they come out and they speak to the kids and they talk about, how they used to be locked up, and the kids actually start to get attached to these people, right? And then 6 months later, or 5 months later, or sometimes a week later, they're gone. So for whatever reason, they end up going back into the system. For each of you, what's the greatest challenge? Have you done the analysis? What's the greatest challenge to be able to get out and stay out?
Right into the mic.
So, I think the biggest challenge to
say your name.
Hi, my name is Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle.
The biggest challenge for me was just finding work and housing to support my son, and that was my biggest challenge.
Somebody else, the biggest challenge, your biggest challenge, or just the challenges, period.
My biggest challenge was facing myself, standing in my own truth and having a real conversation with myself. And I decided to cut off anybody in my life that wasn't a believer in my dreams. And I decided to surround myself with people that are a little bit more successful than I am, and so I can learn from them and just, create a healthy environment for myself. And I've been fortunate enough to have people like that through the fellowship, as well as personally. And, thank you thank you, JJ, and thank you for families that are out there that understand that it's absolutely horrifying coming back. Mm. It is horrifying. And, it's horrifying. So I'm really thankful and fortunate that I am around people that do believe in me, that are invested in my success, and are there to kind of back me up when I do fail.
Who hasn't had a chance to speak? I want to hear from everybody, especially on your challenges. That's the main thing, because there's different and they're the same. Go right ahead.
Hi again, my name is Shayla. My biggest challenge was finding a job. A lot of women have it harder, I think, than men, just because when I went through the Rubicon program, it was like, oh, here's warehouse work, here's construction, here's landscaping. It's like, well, where's the jobs for the women? So that was basically my biggest challenge, is actually finding work in the profession that I was either in before or something that I can grow into after.
Okay, everybody? Yeah. I don't want to minimize this, because I've seen literally brothers walk out of, and I guess women, but I'm more familiar with brothers, and as soon as they hit the block, somebody's offering them something. Right. You know, like, you know, and you know how it goes, like, I'm going to set you up for something better, right? I mean, it's like, I have seen people get sabotaged.
Right.
From the moment they fresh. That's the word with it. Fresh out, right? Sabotaged from, you know, somebody saying that they trying to help them, to like getting into the car with the wrong person, to, you know, I got a gun in the car but I ain't telling you, to I get pulled. Does this sound familiar?
Yeah.
Get pulled over, dope in the car. You know, I mean, man, like, whoa. And a lot of times, it's just, to me, I'm just so proud of people who can do it, because the money is one thing, the job thing is another thing. But when you talk about walking into, I love when you said unhealthy community. There are so many unhealthy people walking around that really, you know, don't get what you're trying to do.
A lot of the challenge is self. Like let's be honest. Sometimes it's not the job, it's not the housing. Those are the big things, but self is the challenge. It was for me, it is for these folks in the fellowship. I would never set folks up to think that changing your life is going to be easy, because it's not. Because your greatest contender is you. And so working on self first is the most important piece. I mean, I wouldn't be honest if I didn't say we already lost somebody.
Mm-hmm. Oh no.
And
that's real.
That's real.
Yeah.
It's reality. Sometimes, no matter how much you try to like cushion the blow or whatever, some people everybody has choice. And that's your free will. That's the one thing God gave you. If you don't have nothing else, you have choice and self, and what you gonna do. And so when folks, everybody who came into this fellowship, I said, like, this is not for everybody. So, and that's not to discourage you. That's just to let you know that you're gonna have to step your game up, and you're gonna have to really want it, because some people gonna make it and some people aren't.
So for me, I feel like it's.
Michelle, I'm going to ask it if you would go right into the mic, because there are people just waiting to hear what you have to say, and they can't do it.
Okay, so for me, I think it was just a challenging, not going back to all the things I used to do, trying to wash away everything that I was taught in the streets, and doing something different with my life. Like I said, I've only been out for 6 months, so this is all like very different for me. Mm-hmm. Very different. So I'm just excited for the opportunity to do something different and positive with my life. But it's a challenge. Like, you know, when you're used to doing something for so long, you know, you gotta forget all that easy stuff and try to do something hard. So and it's really hard. It's not easy. It's not easy.
The girl was like, don't start smoking, because you be smoking, be like, yeah, I can't break this habit, because it's in your system. It's an addiction, right? Continuing with our conversation with folks from the Richard. They're all Richmond residents. Let me say that. The Richard B. stands for boy. Empowerment Pathways Fellowship Program, all formerly incarcerated, and they are learning to be community organizers, I want to read some more of the things that the program consists of. The fellowship also includes components that encourage personal transformation and healing. They include workshops on financial literacy, parenting, and decision making. Okay, and the program is been only in existence for 2 months. And, one of the reasons I'm not in a, we only got so much time on here. But what I want to do, Tamisha, is I want to follow their progress, right? And so, like anything else, we're going to, hopefully, we will have you back and have them talk about the stages. Now, how long is the program?
12 months.
12 months.
12 months.
Okay, see? So we got a goal, right?
It's 12 months. We were intentional about saving space for women.
Yeah.
And so, there are some opportunities to stay on, especially for those in the fellowship who identify as women, to really dig deep and address some of the issues around being in formerly incarcerated or incarcerated woman, to talk to some of the stuff that Ade was speaking about. Is just that when I think about people in our community in general, but especially when I think about women, is that we arrest trauma in our, when I think about women being incarcerated and spending a year in Chowchilla talking to women as young as 20 who facing life or 25 years to life, it is very clear to me that we are arresting the trauma that women face and incarcerating it instead of providing an opportunity for people to be healed, for women to be healed and be able to move forward in the community. So I think for the women in the fellowship, there might be an opportunity to stay on 6 to 8 months later to kind of think through and roll out what would a campaign around healing and restoration for women and young girls impacted by criminalization and trauma look like. But yeah, it's 12 months. Hopefully, everybody gets to do what they want to do. I think developing the skills of organizing isn't only valuable in the field of social change, it's valuable in your life or wherever you go. So you just want to produce more healthy, conscious folks. If people become organizers going to organizing, that's great. If people get a job doing what they want and love to do, but also fight for workers' rights while they're doing it, then we want to promote that as well.
The fellows are all paid. They're paid $16.50 an hour. And how many are in the fellowship right now?
The original cohort was 5. Like I said, we did lose a fellow.
Right.
We never just give up on anybody. So I'm still trying to figure out what it will look like for that person to come back in the next cohort. But now we have 5. We went from 5. Now we have 4. Even split, 2 male, 2 female.
So this is our pilot group.
This is the pilot group. Yeah. I tell them, it's on you.
Yeah.
And
it is in more ways than one. So what's it like? I want to know what's it like going through it. What's it like? What was the interview process like? I want to get as many voices as I can. Come on, Carlos, let's get everybody in here. And what is like? You are the cohort. What's it like?
The interview.
That's all of it.
I feel like it really my life was moving fast, real fast. And then,
if your car was shot up when you came to the interview, it was moving fast.
Yeah.
But you're moving too fast. I'm glad they got you.
Yeah. But
I'm glad we can laugh about it too.
Man. But I think once it started December 3rd. Mm-hmm. And life just got slower.
Yes.
It felt like we had time. A week felt like a month. A month felt like I'm like, man, where's February at? And I'm like, gosh, it's not even January yet. And it was just moving slow. And then I was learning so many new things. It was like school couldn't even have me this interested. We had the revolutionary thinking with our coach Keith. That was great. I was so into that. That was the highlight for me.
Yeah.
And then that really got me thinking differently. And then now we're going into organizing.
Yeah.
And me and my mentor LaDamian, we working on this youth justice thing. And that's what I've been wanting to work on for since I could even think of working on it. You know, like we working on kids that coming out of that juvenile hall, trying to provide resources, trying to start a campaign, something, and then I still don't know all of it.
Oh yeah, well that's why it's a process.
Because I'm still in it.
It's all a process. No, look, and you're going to learn when this is over. So it's a process.
So I still don't know all of it, but I love it, man.
That's great to hear.
Oh my God, it's like
it's
my thing, you know.
Yeah, wonderful. So go ahead.
Well, sure.
Pull it all the way up to your mouth.
Okay, excuse me. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I gotta come in. Okay, but for me, it was interesting, the process. The interview process was basically like, you know, me telling my story, me telling what I wanted out of it, you know, my purpose that I wanted to see, achievement, you know. So the process to get in it really wasn't hard to me. It really wasn't. I had good support. Yeah, you know, I was looking forward to it, you know, because it did give me another purpose. You know, it's keeping me away from what I used to do.
Can you, anything that you've learned that you can say, you know, had a, just like...
the healthy, you know, living healthily and thinking healthy.
Yeah.
You know, being in this class, it made me rechange my whole thought frame. I don't think like I used to anymore. I'm still learning, still working on things, but you know, just trying to learn how to live healthy for the most part.
The thought process determines the actions. And if the thoughts aren't healthy, then the actions are going to be that way, right?
Yes, sir.
And I want to ask you some specifics, but I don't know what can you say something specifically that has changed in your thinking that was
I don't want to be in the streets anymore. I don't want to go back to ripping and running the streets, trying to sit over here and figure out how I'm gonna make something happen.
Yeah. We would say you want to stay alive and free.
Yes, sir.
You value your freedom.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful, man. And it's funny, we found out how close we are just tonight. You know,
yeah, my uncle.
Your uncle, yeah, that's really close to the program, to Miss Akins and Mrs. Stella and I.
Actually,
love that brother.
Actually, he was the reason that I started listening to the program, because I found out my uncle was working with y'all, and you know.
Yeah. The Lahi brothers, we love them, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Love them, absolutely. Can I get the two instructors, Mr. Akins and come on, talk a little bit about what you do with them, and you know, if you want to, you can critique them right on the air.
Of me critique them?
Well, you can tell them why they get better in a nice way, you know. Lady Estella, Mr. Mitra always critiquing folks like, well, you need to do this work and turn this paper in on time. If I ain't playing with you. But what does it, you know, talk about what you do and how you feel they're doing, and go ahead, just talk about it.
So I'm Keith Snodgrass, and it's a job. I mean, you have the training piece that's in the day. I do the organizing piece for the fellows, and when I say it's a job, it's not just what I do when we're in the building and they're sitting in front of me. It's late nights, Lamar a day.
They got your phone number. They're calling you. I know. I got the number thing. I got that.
It's early mornings. Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's advocacy. It's sometimes, you know, packing somebody's stuff in the car and moving them, you know, out of a bad situation. There's a lot to it. There's mentorship. So it's a lot. But it's good work, and it's fulfilling in that way. It feels good to be able to do that with folks and be able to see people's lives change. I've been doing this work for a long time. When I say this work, I mean organizing, and I notice what I get out of it is actually being able to see the change in people's lives, and that's what this program is able to provide for myself, as well as the other folks that we're helping.
I think Carlos specifically talked about a class, that revolutionary What piece that he's so enthused about? Did you like?
Yeah, Carlos is a
Teach about the
revolutionary
Black
in himself. Yeah, well, that was
And
one
all
of
of
them.
that, yeah.
We did revolutionary thinking was one of the first parts that we went through, and we just talked about revolutions in different parts of the world. So yeah, definitely Black Panthers was one of them. But we talked about the Haitian Revolution, Ethiopian Revolution, and all these different revolutions because we want to be able to understand the struggles, all over the world. And if we're talking about movement, and we're talking about revolution, you need to understand what folks have done in the past, and then how we move forward in the future.
Isn't it always surprising, and Carlos understands, but when you hear say, why didn't they teach us this in school? I mean, you don't learn this stuff in school.
Right.
Or if they do teach it, and I don't think they do very well, and you aren't receptive to it. But when being receptive meets the information, you'll be like, wow, damn, I didn't know that. Right,
Absolutely.
Right, and you can just see in his eyes, ooh, man. Maybe if I knew this before.
Yeah.
Mr. Akins, we are definitely familiar with your role, and what do you teach?
Well, as I stated earlier, I pretty much lead the personal development piece where it's about self-development, self-esteem. It's about getting to know oneself and understanding what the process of change really looks like, feels like, and what it really takes in order to change. I really try to key in on the fact that I'm a facilitator, and my job is to give out information, in my opinion, and my advice. Now, whether as adults they take it is totally 100% up to them, and that's also on purpose because it is their struggle. And if they are going to make it, they got to go through their struggle with all the information that we covered, with the ins and the outs, the do's and the don'ts. I heard this from Denzel on the Equalizer on the first episode. When you pray for the rain, you got to expect the mud. So a lot of times, people get caught up in wanting these things to happen for them, but then the process of the work gets in the way, and being able to make that critical decision at those critical moments that pop up, and not, as it was stated earlier, going back to doing what naturally comes or what the natural behavior has been in reaction to certain things that they are experiencing. So a lot of it is based on the prescription model. From Alive and Free. So we definitely talk about risk factors. We definitely examine that what is healthy versus being unhealthy. Mm-hmm. And I probably spend an enormous amount talking about the process of change and what change really means. Because, for example, some of the challenges are family. And that is a big pill to swallow, to say, man, my family is so this, I got to recognize it and I got to stay away from them. Or your friends, your partners, your loved ones, the housing situation you might be in. I mean, there's a lot of elements that come into play that you got to get used to thinking healthy around and understanding that you are the most important thing that you got. And if you take care of yourself correctly, everything else falls into place. There are various lessons, and all of them are about self-reflection. What do you look like? And I preach every morning about getting in the mirror and looking at yourself. And as you brush your teeth, ask yourself about yourself. Find out where you are. Find out what you need to work on. But at the same time, you also got to appreciate yourself. You got to look at your milestones. You got to accept the beauty and the genuine person that you are on the inside, and get used to saying the 3 words that people don't normally say to themselves. I love me. We spend so much time loving other people or trying to get love from other people, we totally ignore the love of ourselves. So my piece is around that, getting individuals to see and understand all that they have inside of them, the healthy and unhealthy, and understand the process in order to move from point A to point B, so that when they sit in Keith's class, it makes more sense to them. When they start to work with other people, they understand their processes, so they would understand what other people's processes are going to be in the community that they're going to work with eventually.
You should ask them what it's like working for me.
Okay, come on. Your turn. Come on. Let's get it all out.
It's 135 page curriculum that these guys, Andre and Keith, have to go through with these folks. It's very dense, and it's a lot of tools and a lot of thought went into it. And just staying on track with the curriculum and this pilot process is just like, I'm always racking my brain around, like, are we on track? Going through the 130-page curriculum, 30, however many pages, are we using all the tools? And I know Andre sometimes probably like, Tamisha, it's rolling, Tamisha, we got it. But it's just, Andre has been so amazing. And he doesn't just, we've been working on together for a while, myself and Andre, almost 6 years. With your blessing, Doc, on our Collective Impact Institute, which is a smaller version of this fellowship, and just like the courage that these two gentlemen have to just like put up with me most of the time is super amazing. I really appreciate everything that they bring to the table, and as much time as they invest, because like Keith said, it's a 24-hour job. It's not a 9 to 5 when you're helping people make healthy choices.
And you'll find, I think, as you go forward, the essential elements to keep and those that won't. But this is your pilot, so you're finding out, and you're evaluating all the time, and what we say, what Coach say, what works, what don't work. It don't make sense to keep doing stuff that don't work, and you're finding that out now. You're finding it out right now.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was going to say that. By this being a pilot program, and even though that we do have curriculum and that we worked on timelines and that there's a pace that we need to keep with so that we can meet all of our goals or as close to our goals as we say we're trying to meet, this is 100% organic too, because not only is the first one, but we're dealing with people. And so, as Tamisha says, she's trying to make sure everything stays on alignment, which that's her position, what she's supposed to do. But sometimes you got to take that teachable moment and you got to go there where some people aren't used to going. So, there's been some times when some frowns and some angry faces and some I'm leaving and all that kind of it is not easy putting up in this process, and it's damn sure it for sure it's not easy putting up with me. I can understand that.
But what's worth the whole thing, Gray, is these of them.
Oh yeah,
that's what makes it worth it.
And that's my point.
You're worth it. That's worth it.
And that's my point, that no matter how hot it has gotten, no matter how, and some people may call it confrontational, I call it family growth, but everybody has made their way back. There is not, for the most part, people have made their way back and have been working on facing the most important battle that they have, themselves. So, we all are in our roles 24/7 and very cognizant of what has to be done. But at the same time, there's an acknowledgement that this is the first one, that these are some amazing people, and that we all are works in progress.
Congratulations on your ability to recognize the gifts that are given to you. Sometimes we say that, you have to change your life, or you have to unlearn things, and that's one approach. But I think what we need to do is remember what we always knew was good and right, and then trust that and do it. Just remember what you know is good and right. Bless your heart. And then trust that and do it. And then let go of any judgments that you have about where you've been and what you've done and how you did it. Let go of those judgments, because that just slows up your process. Everything that has happened to us in our lives, did you hear me say us? That is divinely ordered, and we are guided and protected. And when you're ready, what you need shows up. You're behind me. Come right here so I can see you. It shows up. That's the gift. And when you take it, hallelujah. Now, if you pass on it, whatever it might be, it may take a little bit longer, but it's coming back again. Because it's where you're supposed to be. Okay? The brilliance that you have is not supposed to be locked up anywhere. It's supposed to, so let go. It's supposed to be shared. Let go of your judgment. Trust the gifts that you've been given. Knowing that moving fast, sometimes the days go by like this. Sometimes it doesn't matter if you avoiding gunshots. Hallelujah that it was just the car and not you. Okay? So thank you for the gift that you've been giving to everybody, and for your facilitators who have their story, which is why it's so easy to love you and tell you what you need to say. But I love when you said they will let us know, give us no breaks. And that's exactly what we need. Because, you know, if I told you that, what time is it? How much time I got?
You fine, okay. Baby, rolling. It's
if
Sunday.
I told you that as a people, just look around this room, as a people, the brilliance in the room, and what if I said it was designed to keep you from shining your light? Everything that we get caught up in sometimes is just to keep us from shining our light and changing the world. That's a trick. And we're supposed to say absolutely not. And it's not hard. It just requires a little more effort. Give it the effort because you deserve it. And now that you're doing it, hey, yes, it requires more effort. But you keep doing it because you deserve it. So congratulations to you. Keep it up, keep it up, keep it up.
We are going to bring you back at some point and see how it's going. We celebrate the good things, you know. We give you come to the club, you see the pictures of all the graduates up there, all the alumni. You said we celebrate every day. We celebrate because there's so much emphasis put on the negative, you know, the bad. Some of us act out just to get attention. Remember when we did that when we were young? So we're gonna bring you back, and I gotta say, Tamisha, and there's an event coming up. Oh, I forgot we're supposed to talk about the event. 1 minute to go. I was remembering about the event.
I'm super fast. So we want to honor Richard, but also these folks, and make sure that this fellowship is sustainable for the next cohort. So April 25th at 6 p.m. at 1011 McDonald Avenue in Richmond, California. Come through. We're having a fundraiser, but it's going to be food, good fun, drinks, magic show, art. Everything. Help us continue to invest in people so that they can invest back into the community. Thank you.
And it'll also be a chance for people to get to learn who Richard Boyd was, who didn't have the fortune of meeting him. I had the fortune of knowing him for quite some time, and he was really an amazing and caring person. And let me just say, for these folks to be here and to be a part of him is really what his spirit is all about.
All right, everybody, we got to get out of here. It's wonderful. God, perfect way to end Easter Sunday.